About a year ago, Next Community Church, located here in Schwanksville, Pennsylvania, reached out to us for a pretty major renovation project for their worship center. Next Community is the type of church that rather than doing a major construction expansion or building a new church building somewhere, they would much rather just send a part of their congregation out to plant a new church. And I love that about their culture here in their mission to church plant. But they still wanted to maximize the space that you see here behind me. And they had some outdated AV systems, but they also wanted to reorient the entire room. So we actually partnered with them to move the stage to what you see behind me. So in this episode of Worship Tech Tour, I'll walk you through all the details of the audio, video, and lighting systems that we integrated here at Next Community Church. All of this is coming up. So let's first talk about how we approached audio in this space. And as you guys know, if you watch this channel, the first place we always start is we come in the room and we do an impulse response with a balloon pop to be able to run that into the software and get a measurement of the RT60 time. And then the team at Prime Acoustic helps us discern what right amount of acoustic treatment it's going to take to get that RT60 time to about 2 seconds. So here in this space, you can see these black panels all around the side of the room. They are all 2 foot by 4 foot tall panels by Prime Acoustic. Some of them are actually 4 foot by 4 foot panels, like you have this larger square one right here. And then we also have cloud panels up in the structure above us. And one thing to keep in mind about this space too is it was previously just a commercial office space. This room was not designed to be a worship center, it was just designed to be an office. So there was quite a bit of crazy reverb going on in here. It's going to make mixing and intelligibility difficult. That's how we solved that problem with the Prime Acoustic panels. Now let's talk about the PA system. The first factor I want you to consider is that part of the stage design, the client did not want a stage that was going to be high enough to be able to put ground stack subs underneath the stage. Also, you're working with a limited trim height here. It's a very low ceiling. So our really only best option was to be able to fly speakers in the center. So here we have dual 21-inch speakers. These are passive subwoofers by Fulcrum Acoustic. And just the low sub energy that these subs have, it just feels really musical. Really, you can have plenty of bass for your kick drum and your bass guitar. The subs are able to, fill in the bass energy in pretty much a perfect circle here in the room. So everybody has that good sense of bass in the music. Next, we have the main left-right speakers for this space that covers the bulk of the area here in the center sections. So we have the DX15 speakers by Fulcrum that are our primary main left-right speakers. Then we have the CCX12s as outfills from those main speakers. In a space this wide, we needed those outfills to get the congregation that's towards the side of the stage. And then we also have these front fills here. These are the Profile P speakers by Fulcrum Acoustic. Really ensures that folks in the front and the second row are able to also get a great sound from the system. Because of this odd shape, we added more point source speakers. We have these delay speakers. So if you look back here, for this very side section, we've got another 12-inch coaxial speaker by Fulcrum here, and then we've got another one right here. So as you walk around the perimeter of the room, pretty much every single spot is covered by either the mains or the front fills or all of these delays that we have around the back sections of the room to deliver a really high quality experience no matter where you sit. Now let's talk about video in this room and having good line of sight for the screens. So I really love this creative decision. The client wanted to go with Andrew with the lyric banner on top, and then we have our center screen down below. And it really just took some 3D modeling to get a sense of what this was actually going to look like in real life. Same thing we do for the PA speakers as well. And in the end result, I'm just very happy with. So on this bottom screen here, they're able to play your typical 16:9 content. The bottom center screen is about 6.5 feet tall by about 11.5 feet wide. And then the lyric banner above is about 1.6 feet tall and then about 19.6 feet, almost 20 feet wide. But you'll find as a congregant or a viewer in this room, as you move to the side here, you're gonna lose line of sight of the center screen, and you can actually still see the lyric banner for quite a while, but I'm over here about almost, 90 degrees off here, the center, and I can't see the lyric banner at all. So I need to be able to see content here from the side, and that's why we have these flat screens, TVs mounted up here. So this is a great way for folks from this perspective to see the content, any videos, sermon slides, lyrics, any other graphics can be played on these TVs, and this pretty much mirrors the content that is gonna be on the center screen, except we can use the flexibility in ProPresenter to map which screens actually get the lyrics and how those lyrics are formatted. We'll show you that soon. For front lights in this space, we are using 6 Pro Wash Maxes by Pro Church lights, and then we have 4 Pro Spots to provide adequate front lights. Again, we're definitely dealing with the challenges of a lower trim height. So some of the angles of attack of these front lights, they're a little shallow, so we're getting quite a bit of wash on the back wall, which made it more important to have an LED screen for content, because now we're not fighting with a projector image on a back wall that's gonna get washed out by lights. The image will show up really vibrantly and crisp on the screen behind us, even if there's some lights washing onto them from the front. And then behind the subjects on stage, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 Pro Church kick lights. That's creating that sort of pink reddish downlight here on my shoulders. That's a great hair light. It creates some good separation between the foreground and the background for subjects on stage. And then finally on the floor here, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4 Pro bars by Pro Church lights with the purple light right now, but these have a really nice either a backlight like these ones that are underneath the screen, and then the ones beside the screen, they're a nice wall wash. And when you have these light colored walls in this room, which I'm a big fan of, I think it's great because this room, it feels modern, you have control of light, but I also like how the ambient light from the windows outside just brings a little bit more energy and that natural light feel into the space. You can have both and. It doesn't have to be a completely naturally lit, bright room. It doesn't have to be a completely black box either. I really like how this space is a blend of both, and then you just gotta install the proper stage lighting to make sure everything is well lit on the platform. Speaking of the platform, let's talk about this custom built stage. So one of their members at the church is a great carpenter. He did a fantastic job here. So I love how the center of the stage has this circular shape to it. And this stage is, I mean, you're talking maybe 14 inches tall here and maybe only 12 inches tall on the lower part. So it's cool how they elevated the center portion by making it a circle on the front. It gives you a little bit more space for the pastor to put his pulpit right here and be a little bit closer to the congregation. But they put a full band on this stage, and that was one of the things that they wanted to make more room for seating in this room. They wanted that communal feel, so they didn't want people on the stage to be super high up and just feel distant from the rest of the congregation. One thing we added to the stage is the custom floor pockets. So come check these out. So these are the Whirlwind FP2 floor pockets, and then we have the connector plates that we made in here that are custom. They're labeled all according to the wiring schematic and cable schematics here. So they have the XLR inputs. They have a couple XLR return outputs if they want those as well from our audio rack. And then we also have network connections for the MEs that you have right here. And then they also have a video connection as well. So something very important to consider when you're building a custom stage, what type of input output capability will you have? So they have 2 FP2s here, and then they have the larger FP4 stage pocket towards the back for all of the drum mics. I really like how their ME1 units found a nice home on top of this front fill. It looks nice and clean. I'm kind of impressed by that. So great job, vocalists, making the most of the space you have on this very small stage. You guys know one of the biggest debates on this channel sometimes is, do we go electric drums? Do we go acoustic drums? In this case, we went with acoustic, and this was Andrew's very strong opinion. And you know what, in the end, he was right. I think this turned out great. It looks great, and it sounds great, and for the drummer, it feels great. Of course, there was a bit more of an investment to make this all happen when you compare it to the alternative electric drum route, but I really like how they ended up here. So we've got the Goplin G3 enclosure. It's 8 feet tall, and it's got the actual hard treated back to it with the nice doors that swing open. An amazing, incredible looking enclosure here. Looks very, very clean. And then I'll go back in here and we'll see that we've got a Gretsch drum set. So we've got our snare, high tom, 2 floor toms, and a kick drum. And then for microphones, they're using the Lawton Audio mics for the snare top, the rack tom, and the 2 floor toms. There's also a Lawton Audio microphone on the snare bottom, and then we have a large diaphragm Lawton Audio condenser for the hi-hat, and then we have 2 Lawton Audio pencil condenser mics over the drum set right here. And they're using the red cymbals. So these are the vertical series cymbals. They're thin, they have a nice warm kind of wash sound to them, so they're not going to be super piercing in the mix. I know Dylan Redman, who's behind this company, he has played for houses of worship and churches, so that's how he designed those cymbals. I'm not a drummer, but I like how it sounds. I like how it feels when I'm at front of house mixing this drum set with this system. Sounds great. This enclosure is doing an awesome job. Some of the other rigs that they have here at the church, they've got incredible instrumentalists. They've got a Fractal system here for their electric guitarist. And then Andrew really loves this Yamaha keyboard that he's been using. This is the CP line of Yamaha keyboards. It's got weighted keys, feels really good. Plenty of tone control here. It's nice and compact too. Being a smaller stage, Andrew didn't want to have a huge keyboard setup. Most importantly, it sounds really good. So in a smaller space, a small stage like this, it's just really important to consider how much noise there's going to be on stage. They're all using the in-ear monitors, whether they're wireless with the Shure PSM 300s, or we have the personal mixers with the ME1s on stage as well. So we don't have floor wedges producing a ton of sound. We've got electric piano. Our guitarists are plugged into the amp modeling or DIs, and it just pretty much eliminates any stage noise. It's cool that they have 2 stage displays in the back here, so it just makes it easy if you're on that side of the stage or that other side of the stage. You've got a good view of it. Also, just when you have most of your front lights at the center right here, if you put stage displays right under them, it's going to be kind of hard to see them because you're sort of blinded by the spotlights looking in the same direction with that low trim height. So this is a great way to lay out those stage displays.
All right, so coming into the tech booth, we have the Wall Panel Pro. Sometimes you don't have a lighting operator, but you need to get lights on. Really easy way to do that from Pro Church Lights. Then we come into this tech booth, which is incredibly clean, well constructed. We've got the ledge on the front that's angled, so nobody's putting their coffee down. Nobody's going to spill it all over everything. So definitely recommend that when we're doing the tech booth. Coming in, we've got the Lintech switch, so we can power everything on from here. Super helpful. And then because we're using KVMs, if we look under the desk here, look how clean that cable management is. We love seeing stuff like this. I love getting to be able to be part of putting all this together. We've got a network switch, and then we've got some power cables, but aside from that, nothing going on under the desk here. So starting at front of house audio, we've got the Allen & Heath Avantis Solo. The Avantis is honestly my favorite board recently. I've used everything from M32s up to Yamaha DM7s, and this fills a nice sweet spot right in the middle. Now, this is not a huge booth, so they did go with the Solo, so it's just one set of fader banks, but really easy to switch between everything with the fader bank pages. Really great in and out, a lot of buses, a lot of auxes, really, really flexible board, and honestly, especially with this Fulcrum PA, sounds fantastic. We've got them set up with virtual sound check. Right now they're using Logic for that. You can use Live Tracks, you can use Audacity, any number of things to do it, but the Avantis makes it really easy to switch back and forth between what's live and what's virtual. So it makes it training audio technicians really, really easy. Moving over here, we've got our ProPresenter and LightKey station all running off the same computer. Lighting wise, not really doing anything with an operator. It is all automated through macros and MIDI in ProPresenter. And again, some really cool ProPresenter things that we're doing with looks and layouts with this lyric strip and with the main display. Coming over here to video world, we've got that ATEM Constellation in the back with 3 PTZ cameras and then a Blackmagic camera in the drum booth. Really, really easy. The way we've got the Stream Deck set up is to be able to recall camera presets, to send presets back and forth, and then easily go back and forth between preview and program, to cut back and forth between video. So one operator gets to position the cameras, call the shots, and put everything together. Big old multi-view here, and then we've got another screen to be able to adjust any camera config and monitor the live stream. So the way that we're running LightKey in this room, I really love this, because in this particular room, we don't have movers, we don't have haze. So for some, it would seem like, well, you can't do a whole lot with lights. Well, with triggering through ProPresenter, every section of the song has a slightly different lighting cue, which adds just a little bit of extra depth. So as we move through these different cues, you can see we've got some movement on the bars in the back where we're doing some intensity and color cues. We're changing the house lighting ever so slightly to bring different feels to different parts of the song. And then it's, even at the biggest, it's not this huge distracting light show. It's just very subtle changes that really give each song its own depth. So this is kind of a unique ProPresenter setup, a little bit more in depth. We've got a deep dive on the Altitude website, so go ahead and check that out. But you can see we've got our main display and side displays, which each can show different content. We've got our lower thirds and then our lyric strip. So for instance, right now in the pre-service, we've got a great little welcome strip that's being run by a prop, and then we've got a slide for the main display. But as soon as I go to a worship song, what we're going to see is that that lyric strip all of a sudden matches the background content. And then when we start playing lyrics, our side displays have full screen lyrics, our lyric strip has a different theme that makes it one line, and then our main display is just the content. So a really, really interesting and cool way of doing ProPresenter. One of the cool things we're doing here with lights is that each house light is actually on its own DMX channel. So each one we have individual control over. So in this particular setting, at the front of house here, we've got red that changes all the way to pink up at back of house. So in the room, again, it just adds an enormous amount of depth, and it doesn't even take that many channels to do it. So absolutely worthwhile if you're getting RGB house lights.
Hey, before we continue on, check out our free Churchfront toolkit down below in the description. We're gonna list out all of our favorite solutions for churches for their worship in production. So it's a really quick way to reference a lot of the things you see in this video. If you forgot what the name is, just go check out the toolkit, let us know where to send it, and you'll be able to access that in a few seconds. Moving on to the best part of the video for all of you integration nerds out there, it's the equipment rack walkthrough. So back here in this rack room, we have two very tall equipment racks. I'm 5'11" and a half, and you can see how much taller it is than me. This is the Middle Atlantic BGR series equipment racks because we were integrating a little bit more gear into this system than usual. We wanted the additional space, plus we had the space in this rack room. So let's start with equipment rack number one over here. We've got our Unify network switch, and we have our patch bay. Makes it very easy to patch our network connections from the switch to any of the cable runs that we got coming to the rack. Moving on down, we have the two data streams by Chauvet for DMX lighting control to all of the fixtures. And then underneath that, we have an EN4 node. The EN4 node is gonna receive ArtNet from the computer over the network, and then from the node, it's gonna send the signal to these data streams for all of the pendant light runs, as well as our stage lighting runs. Underneath that, we've got the Wall Panel Pro by ProChurch Lights. We're able to pre-program scenes for that wall panel out in the room, so they can easily call up different looks without touching a computer. Under that, we have the ATEM Constellation 2ME video switcher, our most popular video switching and routing solution. And all the video cable comes into the back of this guy from cameras, and it goes out to our destinations, like our live stream encoder that we have right here. And then we also have our LED screen processor here as well. And then there's a few TVs around the space. Moving down below video world, we have our computer world. So we actually have 1, 2, 3, 4 rack Mac Minis. We've got 2 more spots if they want to add more Mac Minis to the setup. And then they have the Sonnet Tech Echo 3 expansion chassis with one of the slots filled with a 3-slot chassis, so they could put deck links in there. They're already using one of those. And then you can put other computer I/O ports in there, like USB, network connections. You could even throw in hard drives if you wanted to. It can really expand the capability of your computers. And with 2 slots, we can have 2 different chassis that you could connect up to 2 different computers to this chassis. And then moving down here, the way we get control of our computers from our tech booth is using these KVMs by AV Access, a really great value KVM solution with a point-to-point connection. They're not IP KVMs, but for a run like this where these cables are probably going about 50 feet, they work really solid for this solution, and we've had really good results with this over the past couple years. And then down below, we've got a drawer for storage and then all of our blanks. Let's move on to this next equipment rack, which is primarily audio world. So starting at the top, we have another network switch and patch bays to make all of the patching to our network nice and clean. We have another patch bay for our MEU, for our in-ear monitor connections that go to stage. You actually can't see the MEU hub. We have that hidden and integrated in the back of the rack along with our stage box I'll talk about in a few moments. But what's nice is that we actually have these connectors labeled with the MEU hub ports right here from the patch panel. They go down into that MEU hub, and then we can patch them to the various stage pockets we have right here and their network connections for the MEs on stage. Moving on down, we have the SLXD 4Q Plus receivers for wireless microphones, handhelds, lav mics, and then an RF Venue Distro 5 antenna distribution for them. And then we have the architectural antennas out in the room. Then we have our 2 stereo PSM 300 transmitters for stereo wireless in-ear monitoring. Below that, we have a combined 4 to combine the antennas for those 2 units. Moving down, we have the Lintec system power switch. We are using Lintec, and specifically the NPAC, which stands for Networkable Power Automation Control. So we have 4 120 volt circuits right here. That covers our 3 amps plus an additional circuit for other items in this rack. Then we have the smaller NPAC units around the space to trigger other things, whether it's on stage or in the tech booth. Then we have our Bittree patch bays, which give us complete flexibility in how we can patch a analog audio line from any microphone in the room or any source in the room into our GX48 stage box. So we actually rear mounted the stage box, so it's nice and clean. You actually don't see it right here. It's right above the MEU. Those are things that nobody should have to touch unless you're gonna be like swapping out the stage box for something else. But on the front, you have the flexibility to then patch in these different mic line sources into any input on the stage box down here. So you'll see they have the custom stage pockets on the stage. So stage pocket number 1 is normally going to go straight to GX48 port number 1. So let's say for some reason I want to take the mic line that's going into input 1 on the GX48 and I want to move it to maybe input 6. I would actually go to here to my patch cables. I've got a couple hanging on the side of the rack. I can go 1 right here from the stage pocket, and then I can go into number 6 here on the stage box. And that just gives us really easy analog patching capability here with very high quality audio into the GX48. So that's what's behind all of this is our GX48 rear mounted, our MEU hub rear mounted as well. And then below that we have our amplifiers and DSP for the PA system. We have the Unica ATEM, the Unica 4L, and the Unica 4L down here to power the subs, the mains, delays, and front fills that you see out in this room. It's quite a few boxes. That's what's really great about Powersoft is they're not inexpensive amps. They do have quite a price tag on them, but it's partly because you can pack so much power into such an efficient amount of space here in the rack. Well, that concludes this episode of Worship Tech Tour. Thanks so much for tuning in. And if you guys have any questions, comments about this system, let us know down below in the comments section. If you would like to work with Churchfront on your next AV project, you can reach out to us at churchfront.com. Leave a like, share this with your friends in ministry, and we'll see you next time.